Hello, and welcome to Getting Familiar with the Object Explorer in SQL Server Management Studio 2017. The purpose of this tutorial is so that you can get acclimated on some of the general features of SQL Server Management Studio. Today, we will be discussing what the Object Explorer is, the overall structure, and how we can use it to our advantage. I will also cover a brief overview of simple select statements using the AdventureWorks Database 2017 version, which is readily available for download on Microsoft's website. The first thing you should do is ensure you have SQL Server Management Studio installed on your machine. Wait for it to load, select the server name, and hit connect. Once you are logged in, over on your left you have your Object Explorer. The Object Explorer provides a hierarchical user interface to view and manage the objects in each instance of SQL Server. An object is any SQL Server resource, such as a table, view, stored procedure, and even a function. Let's go into the Databases folder. Click on the AdventureWorks 2017 database, go into Tables. This will show you a listing of all the tables available within the AdventureWorks database. Each table is made up of two parts. The first part is the schema name, and the second part is the actual table name. Now, in this particular database, there's a lot of different schema names used to aid in the overall grouping and structure of the database. You have the Human Resources schema, the Person schema, the Production schema, we have a Purchasing schema, and finally a Sales schema. Let's scroll all the way up and go into the Person schema and into the Person table. Go into the Columns folder, and here you'll see a listing of all the columns available within the Person table. We have the title, first name, middle name, last name, suffix, email promotion, as well as additional attributes all related to a person. You can also see the data types such as char with a length of 2, variable character with a max length of 50, and so on and so forth. You may have noticed this small key on the side of the business entity ID. This identifies this specific column as a primary key. A primary key is used to identify a tuple or a specific row of data within a table. If we go into the Keys folder, this is where you'll find a listing of all the keys which pertain to a specific table. Now you may be wondering, what is FK? FK stands for foreign key. A foreign key is like a primary key which identifies a unique row, but in addition, it is used to form a relationship between one table and another. We will see this in action later on in the tutorial. For now, if you take your mouse and you right click on the table name, you can select the top 1000 rows. This opens up the query editor and you can see what exactly is within this table. You can see all the columns, the rows. You have here first name, middle name, last name. Now let's take a look at a second table. So let's go over here to the Object Explorer and let's click here at the Human Resources Employee table. Let's take a look at the columns, right? We have here a listing of all the columns that pertain to the employee table. You have the business entity ID, which is the primary key and foreign key. We have a login ID, job title, birth date, and other information that pertain to the employee table. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to query these two tables. We want to go ahead and extract data, but we only want to select specific columns from each one, and I'm going to show you exactly how we can go about doing that. So let's click the new query. This opens up the query editor, and we're going to go ahead and write a simple select statement so we can select specific columns or fields from within each table and join them so we can produce a result set. Okay, so let's start out by typing the select keyword, and for now we'll just hit star. The star means that we're going to select all the columns from both of these tables that we're going to go ahead and join. We're going to then type in from. The from keyword tells SQL Server where this data is coming from. So we want to go ahead and grab the person table. Now you can just go over to the Object Explorer and just drag it in there, or you can just type in the schema name, type in the table name, and both of these ways work just as effective. There's no difference other than one you can just drag on and the other one you would just have to type out. Now, as you noticed, I typed as a. The as keyword allows us to create an alias for this table. So whenever we need to refer to this table, we can just type in a dot and we'll be able to access all the fields that pertain to this table. So you'll see that in action in just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and continue with this query. And what we want to do is use the join keyword. The join keyword, what it does is it's going to perform an inner join right between these two tables. Right? So remember how I previously mentioned that primary key and foreign key are used to create a relationship between these two tables. And this is how exactly we're going to be able to create a relationship between these two tables so that we can select certain columns from each table and display it as a result set. So we're going to go ahead and join the human resources table, right? And we'll give this an alias of B. Right, and we want to join them on the primary keys, business entity ID and the foreign key here, or vice versa. So we'll do that by hitting a dot, and this is what I was speaking about earlier. When you hit a dot, you can see all the columns that pertain to the person table, right? So we want to go ahead and grab the business entity ID, right, and we want to join them where the business entity ID on the person table is equal to the business entity ID on the employee table, right? So we can select it here, and let's just go ahead and execute this. Now, if you can see the columns that are returned, it returned all the columns from the person table and also all the columns from the employee table. So let's go ahead and select a dot first name, right? So we want to get the first name from the person table. Let's go ahead and get the last name, right? See if we need any other additional information from this. No, I think we're good. So let's go ahead and get the birth date, and then we're going to go ahead and get the gender and hire date. And let's get one more, the job title. All right, so we'll hit execute again. And if you look here down at the result set, we effectively just selected the first name, last name, birth date, gender, hire date, and job title. And you can see here, Ken is the CEO. We have here Terry, who's the Vice President of Engineering. And this essentially is a listing of all the employees, birth dates, gender, we have all their hire dates, the positions, with a total of 290 rows. Okay, so guys, I hope that this tutorial was very informative. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for further tutorials on SQL Server. Thank you.